So I covered a video from this VTuber, I should say, maybe a month ago now, I want to say, maybe a little less than that, Niara TV. She made a really good video about the landscape of content creation, streaming, and particularly being a VTuber, but, you know, it still had broad application, and being trans and left-wing openly. And how this has led to a consistent, recurring trend of right-wing slop tubers, as I call them, or grift slop tubers, collectively attacking her, harassing her, and trying to put her down, and arguably silence her despite, you know, all the virtue signaling they do about freedom of speech, and how important the First Amendment is and all that, right? Now, I really enjoyed that video. I reacted to it, I had a lot to say, and I thought it was really, really good. Which is why when I got this video recommended to me by someone in the Discord server that wanted me to cover it, I saw it and I was like, you know what? I know this one's gonna be good. This one's gonna be good. So there will be a link down below in the description to the original video if you want to go check it out. But, you know, since we're not gonna be able to watch it all in its entirety, but I figure it would be cool to go ahead and hear out her main thesis, her main arguments, and to give my takes as well, because I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot to add on to what she says, because I think she's talking about yet another very real phenomenon we've seen happen online over the last few years, 5 years maybe even. So let's watch. How slop tubers create an anti-free speech environment for leftist creators. By the way, sorry if I've got a little bit of mush mouth right now. My lips are a bit dry.
You know, for years, we've had to live under the thumb of people that are like this. And those days, you know, for years, we've had to live under the thumb of people that are like this. And those days are over.
There are no repercussions for this anymore. Let's go. Isn't that good? You deserve to be suppressed. Your views deserve to be shut down, because what you're saying is dangerous. Your bigotry shouldn't be normalized.
I'm going to do my best job to kill them as well as I can.
Metaphorically, of course.
Metaphorically, of course.
Metaphorically, of course.
I enjoy it. It's very fun for me to do this.
I always get hit with like, oh.
So, Asmongold, I used to be a fan of Asmongold. All right, we need to have this talk. Otherwise, I'm going to explode, because every time I think about it, I need to talk about it. I need to rant about it, all right? I watched Asmongold for years. Now, technically, I'd watched Asmongold technically going back to like 2017, 2018, around then is when I first became aware of him. But I really started watching him consistently in 2019. I was super into World of Warcraft Classic in particular. He was playing a lot of that. He was a very popular WoW creator, and I loved WoW. And so I ended up watching a ton of Asmongold. Not only has he changed a lot politically since back then, but on top of that, another funny thing has changed. Back in the day, Asmongold was over the top averse to anime. Anything even somewhat related to anime, even if it was just fan art done in an anime reminiscent art style, would make him visibly cringe. And obviously he'd play it up, but like, he clearly did not like anime, or did not think he liked anime, and had like a lot of very negative things to say about anime that were very, you know, ignorantly all-encompassing broad statements about how it's bad, etc., etc. And Asmongold wouldn't even touch Final Fantasy XIV for years and years and years because he thought it looked too anime to him. It was too, like, Japan-inspired, and he likes his Western, you know, knights and like, what's the term for it? Like banded armor type fantasy scenarios. And so he was never willing to try out FF14 because of this. It's so wild that nowadays he is buddy-buddy with, like, the right-wing VTuber sphere, which is all made up of people that are, like, role-playing as either big-titty anime fox girls, such as, I forget who this is, or as like young, skinny, oddly dressed girls of questionable age. That is the other category of VTuber on the right that Asmongold is now buddied up with. And he's now, like, shilling out clout to those people. And it's just such a weird switch up to see him go from not being willing to play Final Fantasy XIV or even try it because it's too anime to what's happening now. It's like, I don't know if it seems odd to anybody else, but he was really, really virtue signaling about how much he hated anime.
I can.
Metaphorically, of course.
Metaphorically, of course.
Metaphorically, of course.
I enjoy it. It's very fun for me to do this.
I always get hit with like, oh, why do you keep talking about being trans? Why do you talk about transness? Why do you make it your whole personality? I'm gay, and I don't make it my whole personality. You people give us a bad reputation by being so vocal and obnoxious, and it's like, we have to. We are not going to get any rights. We are not going to get any freedom by just being silent, staying in the closet and hiding. We have to be visible, and they make it incredibly hard.
Now, I'm not LGBT, so it might be a little cringe for me to speak on this, but I'll give my take, right? I believe that it's fine if you're LGBT and you don't want to be involved in politics. You would rather live at least insofar as your public presentation, a closeted life where you try to keep yourself safe and you just do your own thing and you're not interested in being part of a movement. I think that's fine. You can argue it's cowardly, and I wouldn't even argue against that claim, but I think that's fine. I think that's understandable. I think that people should prioritize their safety. At the same time, though, that is a privilege that can only be taken when things are still so good, you know? If things get to the point where they've gotten critically bad, it won't matter how much you don't want to engage with politics or how much you don't want to be an activist or whatever. When it gets that bad that you're convinced you need to get involved, it'll already be too late. And so that's my go-to argument, at least the one I've always thought of whenever I see somebody who's like trans or gay that just doesn't want to get political. You know, and I'm like, I mean, when would you get political? Because chances are things would have to have gotten bad enough that it'd already be too late for you to be willing to get involved, you know? And I think that's arguably a small failing, but I don't think it's a moral failing through and through to not want to talk politics and be LGBT. But what I really don't like is when those same people who choose not to be involved in politics go after those that do talk about it and do go by the activist route. And it's like, okay, well, why are you whining at people that do get involved in politics? Like, you do you, I'll do me, right? Like, that is the best response to that commenter.
Society makes it really hard for you to be different. If you are visible and you inspire others, it's going to get a lot easier. Oh, nobody would come after you if you just wouldn't challenge the status quo. If you just wouldn't disrupt the natural order, the hierarchy of the society. And it's like, the status quo sucks. Privileged people.
The fact is that no, like, even if you don't disrupt the status quo, simply existing is what the right is revolting against trans people for. The right always needs some kind of fuel to feed into a great raging fire, and it needs to be a group that they can target and fearmonger about. And for a while now, their fuel for the fire has been trans people, trans fearmongering. And so it's not like, even if trans people, there was not a single trans person on the face of the planet that ever did a bad thing or did a thing that could possibly be framed out of context as bad, the right would still make up stories and just create mythos in order to push their narrative and fearmonger off of trans people or some other group in the LGBT community or some other marginalized group, because they need something. The right will never let that fire burn out. They'll always find some group to fearmonger about and keep it fueled. That will never stop. Like, there's no act that trans people did that created the reasonable, as it's implied here, response of transphobia and homophobia.
People oppress marginalized groups. The status quo sucks. The natural order, the strong should make the rules. Yeah, and women shouldn't open their bank account because they need a man. They need their husband, their owner, to open a bank account. The property shouldn't be allowed to do anything without their master's will. So we have to disrupt. We have to be vocal. We have to go on the
mosquito in here that wants
and
my face.
protest. People have to
I did
write.
not get it.
The thing is, like, you go and listen to people like Asmongold, or even like Nuxtaku. You listen to people like them.
By the way, I'll be real. This is crazy. People say, Nux, I can't believe you have no empathy for these people.
I have 2 mini rants to do here, okay? I've said this before. One day, don't worry about it if you don't know who this is, or any of these people are, but if you do, then this is for you. I swear to God, the day will come where the internet collectively looks at Nuxtaku the same way the whole internet now looks at a Shadman, the pedo guy that drew like the CP stuff of like celebrities and like Keemstar's kid and shit like that. Is it Nux a pedo? I'm glad you're on the right page, Nate Jonas. This guy is like a massive fucking creep. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with Nux. I mean, literally used to be friends with the Shadman guy as well. Nuxtaku was. And so I am pretty sure one day the internet's going to collectively look back at that guy and be like, how was this guy huge? How did this guy have a fan base? But right now we're in this weird era where, much like Shadman, these YouTubers are prominent and popular, and no one is with a platform is calling them out. YouTube doesn't care. But at some point in the future, people are going to collectively decide, like, what the fuck? And it's going to be pretty glorious when they do. On top of that, there's something about Nuxtaku's voice and the way he talks. I'm telling you right now, if you can, like, remember the way this guy talks in the clip that you're about to hear, you can almost, with a 99%, I'd say a borderline 100% accuracy rating, read if someone's a chud based on whether or not they talk this way. If they sound like this dude, they're a chud. Listen to he sounds like a bug. That is actually really good. Listen to this.
Like them.
By the way, I'll be real. This is crazy. People say, Nux, I can't believe you have no empathy for these people that are getting deported. No, I have no empathy for the people being deported. I'm sorry. Having empathy for the cruel is being cruel to the innocent. I have zero empathy for the people that are being deported if they are not American citizens.
But they are American citizens. That is like the whole problem. Because this fascist regime just looks at you, classifies you whether or not you're white enough, and then just ships you away without due process, without looking at your documentation. Innocent people are getting sent away, and this lunatic who lives in Israel on stolen land in a stolen home.
What? No shot. No shot. What? Nuxtaku lives in Israel. That's fucking wild, bro. That's crazy. I didn't know that. That surprised me. He's Canadian, though. Yeah, I know he's a Kanskuk? I don't know. Canuck cuck. That's what we'll call them. Iran, do something really funny. Listen, Iran. Yeah, this is your chance to redeem yourself.
Oh, it's talking about the innocent and how unfair it is and how he has no empathy for these people who are fighting against the fascist regime. The protests were mostly peaceful. Sure, protests disrupt. That's kind of like the point. But when Trump sent in the National Guard and escalated it, that's when the riot started. Because when they started shooting random civilians This one journalist, for example, of course, it's escalated.
Several
You know why we had
journalists
the
on
riots at
video.
Stonewall? Because the police made it that way. They were violent, and people fought back. People were fed up with the oppressors just coming in there, raiding them. Of course, eventually people are going to fight back. But to sympathize with the fascist regimes is just fucking insane. Would I call the West Bank the danger zone? Destiny speculates that he would get killed by some crazy Palestinians.
Oh, I'm actually going in 3 days for 2 weeks, so.
You're going to Israel in 3 days?
Hell yeah, I'm going to West Bank, interview people, hopefully not get assassinated.
Okay.
I am not going to the
for
West
real?
Bank.
Oh my
However, I'll.
And then, you know, like people call it out, and then they're like, "Oh, why do you start drama? Why do you make it drama?" It's because like these people basically constantly spread fucking propaganda, fascist propaganda, and nobody holds them accountable. There are no repercussions for people spreading fascist. It doesn't matter if it's Zionist propaganda, Nazi rhetoric. You know, it literally doesn't matter. People just get away with it, and anybody who speaks out.
I don't like Piers Morgan, for instance, is one of the biggest like commentators on the entire internet right now. Like everybody is watching Piers Morgan for some reason. And he is regularly doing Zionist apologetics, like really hardcore, like making excuses for mass killings of innocent civilians specifically. And that dude is enormous. YouTube and most of these big platforms really do not care. It's pretty shameless, you know. It's obviously just these platforms are chasing profit in a landscape where the internet as a concept is becoming less and less profitable each day. 'Cause it's less and new. The bubble has kind of long since popped.
Out against it is just being bullied. So, I can't
Is that Tectone?
believe this one. You know, and then like Asmongold.
So obey the law. When Hitler said kill all the Jews, you'd obey your master. You're comparing this to Hitler?
How is ICE not the Gestapo? Trump basically turning the US into a dictatorship. How is that not like Hitler? The war on trans people, the war on autistic people, on medicine, on the education system, on the journalists and the news outlets. How is it not like Hitler? Like what the?
So obey the law. When Hitler said kill all the Jews, you'd obey your master.
You didn't even like answer the question.
You're comparing this to Hitler?
Would you follow?
No, listen, guys, here's the thing. These people, like, just shit themselves the second you compare anything or anyone to Hitler or the Nazis. So all you have to do is say, this just reminds me of the funny Austrian man. They don't know enough. They won't know who you're talking about. But if you say, this is oddly Hitler-like, they will lose their minds.
Quote unquote the law. Probably, yeah.
And this is the mindset that these people have, right? I just want to read some of the comments here. Your keyboard warrior Trump's out there fighting in the streets. Yeah, I mean, I disagree with the fight. I mean, why would I go out there and support something and go protest for something that I don't even agree with? Why would I do that? And also, it's just some fucking bricks. They have bulletproof glass windows. So do you think it would be okay to shoot a gun at them because the glass is bulletproof? Do you think it would be okay to shoot a gun at these officers?
During the back and forth between police and protesters yesterday, an Australian
Asmongold, like, it sometimes is hard for me to tell if he's being genuine, but then I remember that this dude has been like a dragon, sitting on, like, hoards of gold for a decade now, right? Way before he went down the Chud rabbit hole. Now, you might be thinking, oh, so he's like a miser, you know? He's a massive, like, money hoarder, and he just wants to grift and get more money. Not really. He, like, I don't know if you guys have looked into it, but this dude does live in squalor, as most of you will know. But he also does not buy himself nice things. He chooses to go out of his way to buy, like, the shitty skirt steak that you can get, like, the cheapest steak cut. That's, like, the thinnest, most garbage, like, low-fat cut of meat you can get at, like, from any butcher or grocery store. And he, like, pan-fries it with maybe a little butter, I think, and like, lemon pepper. He eats lemon pepper steak that he pan-fries until it's, like, so well done, it's leathery. You know? Like, this dude is very attached to living the low income lifestyle he grew up with. He's still driving the same car he drove a long time before he started streaming. He wears most of the same shirts he owned way before he started streaming. And he doesn't spend any of that money on much of anything, but he just accumulates it, never to spend it. And I don't know if Asmongold is the kind of person who wants more money. Like he could not start spending it all today. I really don't think he could. Not with his, like, if he stopped streaming today, on his lifestyle, he would never run out, and he would pass on 99% of what he would have made onto his children. I kid you not. He spends that little money in his lifestyle. It is somewhat monk-like when you think about it. And so I think about that, and I like to think that Asmongold is not a grifter. Like, I don't think he's a grifter. A grifter is someone who is dishonest and lies and just panders for easy payout. Maybe he's addicted to clout. The attention is separate from money, you know? Maybe attention is what he finds more valuable than money these days. That's possible. But it's also very possible that this is just his genuine political journey he's gone on. Keep in mind, he very much began this downfall after his mom died. And while I'm not going to go after him for that, it is famously well studied that the aftermath of 3 different things: large breakups or divorces, deaths of loved ones, or moving to a new city or school, these are the 3 things that most contribute to making someone susceptible to radicalization, whether it be inundating them into a cult or getting them involved with some new political ideology. And so when I consider that context, it makes me wonder, you know, I think Asmongold might be fully genuine and just looking for a fight to be a part of, a movement to be a part of, not just to be a streamer, but to be a part of something that he feels like matters. Being a left-wing, activist is just nonstop doom, you know, nonstop doomerism. But being a right-wing chud activist means you're just constantly rambling nonsense that just comes to mind off the top of your head about any given topic that's being discussed in the cultural zeitgeist, whether it be a new game, a new movie, a new nerd media TV show or something. And so you just kind of give the standard opinion everyone expects on those things, and you get to feel like you're part of a movement. And I think that's what motivates a lot of the, Chudslop consumers, which Asmongold is, the end of the human centipede of Chudslop when you think about it. Asmongold is fully genuine, but I think, in a sense, I wouldn't say he's a victim by any means, but I think seeing his political journey can be good insight into how people go from, years ago, Asmongold was watching videos from Barney Beekeeper, who is a trans YouTuber. She's a trans woman who makes WoW videos, and was directly calling out transphobic comments in his chat and banning those people and correcting their bullshit. And now Asmongold stands where he does now. Going from that one place to where he is today, there needs to be a case study on this, frankly.
Reporter was shot by a non-lethal projectile.
Moving them on through the heart of LA.
How is that okay? How are you not calling out these people who are doing that?
You said you obey the law. Hitler's also doing the law in Germany. I think that there's a certain amount of moral decision-making with the law too, but I agree with this morality of the law.
So as long as you agree with the law, you're going to follow it? Well, we don't agree with the law. And the thing is these illegal raids.
To be clear, Asmongold has come out and said that he wants to get invited to one of these ICE raids, where they go and deport people, and he wants to live stream the whole process for a batch of people getting detained, held. He wants to interview them, and then he wants to film their deportation. Asmongold has several clips as of late where he's talked about he's had his editors send emails to the White House and like to Elon and stuff to try to get that to happen. And it might end up happening. Like, we might see an Asmongold live stream where he's just live streaming the entire process of just a group of people getting detained and deported from America. He might draw, like, record-breaking viewership, too, when you think about it. Is he equipped to see that trauma? It would probably change his perspective on all this drastically if he saw that in person. I don't think it's going to hit the same when he's not looking at it through a screen and he doesn't have the chat there making jokes about it. He's just going to be there, and it's going to be real and kind of, like, raw and unfiltered. And there's not, like, if he tries to crack a joke about it, everyone's just going to be like, you know, I feel like it could change him if he actually goes through with that.
They're illegal. Sending people off, deporting them into foreign prison camps without due process
Understandable,
is against
Knock.
the law. And you still have no problems with it.
Like, I don't want to confuse you. Like, no, I agree with this. I think that people in the country illegally should get deported. Like full stop. Obviously, I think that it's more efficient to focus on criminals first, definitely. But I think that they all should get deported.
The problem is also that they are pulling up, like, the mafia, smashing in windows, and just taking people and sending them wherever without due process.
Places.
Disappearing.
Now, the biggest, scariest thing is that the United States relies heavily on immigrant labor just to function, including illegal immigrant labor. Now, the right has always said, oh, so you don't want to deport these people because you want to keep them here as some kind of slave class to do the work that Americans don't want to do. It's like, well, they came here. They want to be here. They're not deporting themselves. They're working these jobs. Are you claiming that working a job in America is slavery? Like, that... that's the go-to response, I think. Are you claiming that working a job and making a salary in America is slavery? Are you saying capitalism is akin to slavery? That's what you respond with when they say that.
A bunch of people because they look a certain way. And you don't have issues with that. Obviously you don't, because you're also like a fan of Anders Breivik. There was also like something that I saw because I was curious. There was this one part that I actually wanted to like talk about because I haven't seen other clips of it. I only saw this this one. I got canceled my response.
I don't like
Is this
you.
the
I don't like what
Kirsch
you stand
person?
for. I don't like the values that you're trying to push. I don't like the agenda that
Bro,
you have.
she is
I don't like the
vibrating.
fact
What
that
the
you try to get
fuck?
people canceled. I don't
What
like
is she
anything about
doing?
you. So the fact is that if I have a way that I can fight back against
Take
that,
some
I
Adderall.
will in the same way that you tried to fight back against her. So you're not mad that you're having people fighting. You're mad that you're losing.
I just want to like talk about it because I'm making a broader point. But like I don't think that I'm losing. It's just like I don't have a platform. You are delusional if you believe that me, a streamer who can't even...
So I've talked a lot about this in the past, but when the right has no real argument against the facts or morals of what you have to say, they fall back on something that's been true pretty consistently for over a decade now. And that is that, more likely than not, if you are a left-wing figure and you are in some kind of debate with a conservative figure, the conservative figure probably dwarfs your platform by like maybe hundreds, if not thousands of times over. Which means if you make a tweet, you know, saying a positive message, it's going to get ratioed to hell. It won't matter how right you are. You'll just be the one person who isn't pissing in the pool, and everyone will be laughing at you for it. And so that's where she is right now. She's in that situation where these people like Kirsch and Nuxtaku, Rev Says Desu, and Asmongold are all in the hundreds of thousands to millions of subscribers range. And I believe Niara is at like in the teen thousands, maybe 20,000s range in subs. Even in my case, where I'm at over 100,000 subs, I get dwarfed by most conservative content creators easily. And it tends to lead to a pretty like unfair fight if I try to get into it with a conservative pundit, you know? Rev says Desu is literally a pedophile. In our opinions, yes. But, yeah, I can't really see it any other way, personally.
Even break 200 viewers on Twitch. Is able to cancel streamers that are so much bigger than me. It was never about actually getting someone canceled. It was about being part of the group that stands up to you and maybe getting other people to speak about the rampant rise of fascist right-wing talking points spreading through the mouth of creators, and not just you know, face cam streamers like you, Asmon, but also VTubers. Anime waifus are spreading fascist talking points to cater to the 4chan sickos. VTubers need to do a better.
It's true. It's true. There might not be a better face for that concept than this one right here. God.
Job at pushing back against it.
The
because
smug
if
smile.
you can consider yourself apolitical by spreading common sense and saying that, like, oh, illegal aliens deserve to be shot. Oh, Palestinians come from an inferior culture. If you can say these things and still have a platform, then people should be able to be like, hey, you know, actually, that's kind of shitty. Palestinians do not deserve to be genocided. But when someone calls you out, when someone pushes back against your rhetoric, then you come along and you send your hate mob after them and you make like 5 videos calling yourself cancelled. Let's be real. You are just going to keep profiting off it because nobody holds fascists accountable. There are no repercussions for people like you. And I'm frustrated.
It is frustrating, but at the end of the day, if no one is going to call out these conservative figures, it's gotta be us. It's gotta be progressive creators. You know, and any of you guys watching right now could be the next progressive creator that starts up a channel and starts calling out conservative chud content creators. Maybe you've got like an interesting, unique personality or sense of humor that just skyrockets you to the top. You could end up being very valuable. You don't know unless you try. Highly recommend it.
With it, obviously, because I'm on the right side of history and you're on the far right. You're on the Nazi side of history, and it sucks. You're weaponizing your platform, you're weaponizing your reach, you're cheating the algorithm by pushing outrage, weaponizing transphobic talking points and other bigotries to get boosted and just profit off it. And I can't call it out without me being labeled a harasser and someone who is doing cancel culture. Like, you, dude. People are just calling out your rhetoric, and what I'm doing is just dismantling the arguments. I'm dismantling your arguments when it comes to like, oh, all trans people, all trans children come from parents with a mental illness. Oh, they have.
Like, there might be nothing more emblematic of slop tubers than the idea of them having a small creator call them out with some very, like, well-substantiated criticism, and then to, in response, use their massive platform to start a harassment campaign against that smaller left-wing creator, while simultaneously making bank while doing it. Off of doing it, I should say. That is what is happening right now in the landscape of politics. You know, owning lefties is big money right now. It was big money back in 2016, less so in like 2020 for some reason, and it is again now in 2025. That's society, isn't it? I mean, I suppose, but we're talking about the internet where it seems like every political discussion seems to be starting these days.
Have this implanted into them. Like, even Nuxtaku. Like, of course I'm calling this out.
Listen.
Like, listen to this.
Listen, why would you be against the LGBT movement? Why would you be against the transgender movement if the transgender movement doesn't affect you at all? Anyway, we're going to teach your children that they should cut their dicks off. Yep, that's right, baby. Don't worry, it's all cool. Not getting involved. Not trying to invade your space at all. But put me in a woman's prison so I can rape the women there.
Like, what the fuck? It's crazy.
Isn't it crazy how every time someone has questionable positions when it comes to drawn child shit, they tend to use the argument of think of the children against the idea of trans people having rights. And then you see people who we don't know have any sussy shit like that going on, who say the same argument consistently against trans people, and it makes you wonder, What don't we know about those people?
And I can't criticize it. Oh, this is just free speech. Oh, this is just someone sharing their opinion. You shouldn't hold them accountable. It's because you agree with the sentiment. That's what your problem is. This is not what trans rights are about. This is what right-wingers, what Nazis push, or pushed back then, to mobilize a hate mob and to justify the book burnings and shit like that. That is what was used. The same with like the groomer shit. Calling doctors who perform medical procedures for trans people.
The guy who just recently killed 2 Minnesota representatives, and well, it was a congresswoman and senator, right? Was planning to blow up a Planned Parenthood, if I'm not mistaken. Either shoot it up or blow it up. They got the guy, but they found his manifesto, and he was planning to kill several other Democrat representatives and to terrorize, to do terrorism at a Planned Parenthood. Like, these are the people that are being empowered by far-right messaging.
Rumors. Predators. And I can't criticize it. This small bean here can't be like, what the f did you just say? Because that I'm canceling. Maybe more people need to like hear these things and realize what you people are doing. And if I can use this in order to educate and be like, hey, actually, this is based on so much misinformation that the right is pushing. The overwhelming majority of trans women who are getting arrested are being arrested for drug abuse or prostitution, because society creates an environment, a system, where trans women don't earn enough, are being discriminated against, and the only thing they can do is sex work. And then they get arrested. And then they get shoved into the men's prison because like, oh, they're all predators anyway. They need to be put in the men's prison. And then we don't.
What's so frustrating is, while these conversations are valuable, so many of the people that, like, we want to reach and convince and change the minds of, like, they don't care. Like, to that information, they're like, yeah, good. You gotta, like, go down to, like, step 1 with a lot of these transphobic people and be like, okay, do you recognize the difference between biological sex and gender? And then they're gonna say, what do you mean? It's the same thing. And you gotta go, all right. Got a lot of work to do. You know, you gotta start at level 1 before you do level 12. You know what I mean?
We don't care what happens to them in there. We don't care that they are being shoved into the cells of abusive men where they get abused for years with nobody intervening. And then it's like, oh yeah, we don't care what happens. Men on men's violence is not the problem of women to solve. That's what J.K. Rowling said. They're excusing rape because they don't care about the victim. Oh, if you don't want to get raped in prison, then you should just stay out of prison. First of all, I don't think being a sex worker should be criminalized. Actually, I believe that they should be protected. Even if you disagree with that and you think that they should be sent to jail, I don't think that rape should be part of the punishment for that. You need to take a listen to what they're saying so they can hear how absolutely f***ed up it is. They don't care because they think it's justified. Oh, but it's the law. It's the law. We're just following orders. Yeah, where did I hear that before? And then you...
True. Giga true. They are just following orders, after all. They're just following the law. And of course, they have their little excuse for why, you know, if there's ever laws that Asmongold has, you know, lost his mind over, which he has. Asmongold knows that in the past he's gotten whiny or angry about laws. So he knows that he can't just say, I like this, I'm okay with this because it's the law. He added that little addendum. But I also agree with this law. And if I didn't, I'd be calling it out. So he did clarify that he agrees with all this. He wants this stuff to happen. And that is the primary reason why he is defending it. Not that it's the law. Like, the fact that it's the law is just him more or less gloating that their side has won. You know what I mean? Like, that's just meant to be, like, trigger bait for lefties. The actual argument is he agrees with it, so why would he even be okay with people calling it out? Much less, why would he call it out himself? Anyway, I really liked the bit of this video we saw from Niara TV. There will be a link down below in the description for you guys to go watch the full original thing. It is a bit long, so you're going to want to go check it out on your own time if you haven't already. It's some good stuff. So I do hope you guys go send some support. It really does help a lot. And of course, if you like my stuff as well, please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. Every like and every comment is the best way and fastest way to support my channel in the algorithm. It only takes a second and it's totally free. If you don't know what to comment, you can just say, "Who up Xandering their haul?" And I will definitely benefit from it, and I will get the joke. I'll get the inside reference. I'll know you watched this far. And of course, if you want to see more from me in the future, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future. And then on top of that, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, you can follow my social medias linked down below in the description, particularly my fan Discord, which is the main hub of my community and my fan base. I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, and movie nights there every Friday, every week. So if you don't want to miss anything, that's the place to be. Join through the link down below. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, you can afford it, you feel like it, and you want to help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, maybe even get me in a onesie for the rest of the stream, boop boop, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. But with all that said, regardless of how you support me, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.